It's that time once again, E3! And Microsoft and Phil Spencer took their asses front and center stage and unveiled to the entire world the artist formerly known as Project Scorpio is now newly knighted and dubbed as the Xbox One X. Now, I had to go and take a step back from this because the first thing that just flooded to the forefront of my Alpha Omega head meat was, this shit sounds extremely familiar. It sounds like they're taking some kind of mishap cues from whatever random stupid horror scene bitch that's all dolled up in clown makeup with their shit taste in music, and we're like, yeah, your usernames are fucking great. Let's go and make that shit our flagship console and the premium shit that we're gonna use for that. A fucking plus. Or whatever little grouping of edgelords that they could get together, whatever Squeak Squad on PSN and Xbox Live, you added in some 420, 69, extra X's, the word killa, and whatever 5 minutes of fame memes into that shit, then there you go, you got that. But then I stopped thinking about all that, took an extra hard look at it, I was like, this shit's just an acronym. Xbox One X. It's just Xbox. At which point I thought, okay, you clever little minxes, look at you motherfuckers, okay. At that point, I gave them a free pass, that shit was absolutely fine, and it made me actually like the name. Though, when you initially look at it, its cringe factor is just through the fucking roof, so we're going to avoid all that shit and just focus on the fact that it's a clever acronym, so good on that. But, Phil Spencer went on talking about the Xbox One X throughout a good portion of this, and rightfully so, considering that Project Scorpio has been in the rumor mill churning out shit left and right while everybody was just speculating and assuming non-stop about this shit, and it's E3 time, so it was put up or shut up. And they put up most certainly. I mean, the first thing out the gates, I have to get this shit off my chest because I was a beaming ray of gaming sunshine. I was overflowing with emotion because they announced backwards compatibility with original big fat fucking green emblem on the Duke controller Xbox game compatibility. I'm like, hold up. I will be able to play the actual physical discs of original Xbox games. Motherfucker, do you know how long I've wanted that to happen to me? I'm all for backwards compatibility. I will say time and again, make that shit happen. I mean, it's kind of apparent I do like keeping my old games. New games, old games, doesn't fucking matter. I don't give a shit what month, what year, what platform you were released on. If you're fun, we'll play the shit out of you. Original Xbox is home to so many gems. I mean, honestly, if you saw my initial reaction, it looked kind of like this. Oh, glorious Xbox! Yes! Yes! Oh, the Sega goodness! Dude, if you've seen my game room tour, I basically sat there gushing out of every possible pore, and most definitely in anything in the fucking trouser region, which, you know, kinda needed to go and get chiseled the fuck out of my chair, but everything on the original Xbox that I have, I've cherished for such a long-ass time. I mean, the minute that Sega went and jumped on board with it, I was just like a phoenix rising from the ashes, because it was like the Dreamcast 2.0. And now I'll be able to play the likes of Shenmue 2 and Panzer Dragoon Orta and Gun Valkyrie, all on an Xbox One. That's pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. I mean, I want to see Knights of the Old Republic on there, the actual Star Wars Battlefront games on there, the original Burnout games, even though we need to have a Return for Paradise because that one's fucking awesome. I mean, there was so much awesome shit on the OG Xbox. I'm like, we can do this. I mean, we've got Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 on there. Considering that Sega hasn't been giving us much Phantasy Star love, it's always okay to just go back to that shit. Plus, you know, 4-player split screen. That's always good. But still, original Xbox playback. And one thing that I sat there endlessly shitposting, just trying to ha-ha all those yucks and being funny and shit, you know, a random, honest-to-goodness pipe dream, but wasn't super serious about it. And then the shit came true. And I started thinking to myself, somewhere in this fucking house, Microsoft has this place bugged. And they're listening to me, I'm gonna have a fucking tinfoil hat and shit. Like, these motherfuckers are actually listening in on my stuff, because the Duke controller is coming back. You remember that portion where they had that one section and it revealed a Porsche and they were all talking it up and talking about Forza, and I'm like, that's not all that big of a deal to everybody watching, because most of them are getting rides from their moms, taking public transit, or got like a 1995 Dodge Neon sitting outside, or a fucking Geo Tracker. You think that them seeing this Porsche is going to be impressive? They're like, motherfucker, I don't even understand those graphics. So stop all that shit now. Like, but on the other side, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if they had like this gigantic Duke controller just get revealed and shit? Then all of a sudden, Microsoft and a third-party company are going to be re-releasing a wireless limited edition Duke controller. Do you realize it was like the heavens opened up and then dropped this big fucking anvil of a controller down? It's like, dude, it's like a total fucking gym. You want guns? You want guns? Just hold the fucking Duke controller for a while. I mean, that's all you do. I wanted them to include an Elite controller with the Xbox One X. To me, it made sense. I'm like, this is your premium system, the top tier go-to system. It's supposed to give you, you know, the best experience possible, so that would make sense for it. But then they announced this shit. I'm like, nah, just put a Duke controller with it. That's all. Just do that. Duke controller. Do that. But I'd wonder, what the fuck are they gonna do with the memory card slots? Like, they got them just chilling up top. I'm just kind of curious. But still, that big-ass emblem looks like a fucking rapper's chain and shit. I'm just like, I'm delighted to no end. Just smiles for miles. That's all I can say. But original Xbox backwards compatibility, which I'm hoping to fuck, that we end up seeing them churn out a bit more than they have with like the 360 and all that shit, because it just took so fucking long, and the original Xbox library is pretty massive. But regardless, this is a step in a massively positive direction. This is one of those things that I'm glad when companies decide to just open up and start listening to shit like this, because when you look at the likes of Sony, which their press conference isn't until later on tonight, so who the fuck knows if they have something like an ace in a hole or up their sleeve or whatever. But, like, PlayStation Now and all the PS2 classics is not an equivalent for being able to just go and play the tangible games that are already floating around out there. That's the truth of the matter. I mean, the fact that I have the physical games, I would love to be able to play them on there. Sure, I do have the original hardware and can play them on there, but I like the ease of access of something like this. I like the convenience of this, and not many people out there still have the original hardware or want to hook it up to their new fucking TVs. And, you know, with video signals for most of the games being 480p, which granted, they had some that were 720p, I will give Xbox a lot of fucking credit. They were pushing all sorts of shit whenever it came to sound, and video output looked fucking phenomenal. Dreamcast 2.0 indeed. But still, the fact that both of those things are accompanying the Xbox One, and this was all being announced alongside the Xbox One X, I was pretty fucking happy about it. But we all know the main motherfucking reason why we were there. We all know that one morsel, that one tidbit of information that we were all waiting for. While we're sitting there foaming at the mouth, sitting on our fucking hands, basically eyes glued to all of our displays, they dropped the announcement of the price. Dun dun dun! $499 US, $499 US, $499 US dollars! That shit got said, and it was a lot of different reactions. We had people saying that is ridiculously overpriced and you can suck a big old fucking barrel of Donkey Kong dicks, and other people saying that's a pretty good price and that's what I was expecting. I'm of the sound mind that there was no way that they were trying to go and sell this kind of hardware for anything less without taking a major hit right to the jewels for their bank account. I'm talking, if it was anything less than 500, you can almost guarantee that every single time the warehouse was shitting out an Xbox One X, that they were going into the red and losing money off of that individual sale. And while you can sit there and gloat about sales figures whenever you're losing money off of each individual sale, you're really just spinning your tires and slowly creeping backwards. And considering that right now, as we speak, the Xbox One is currently hovering at right about 30 million units worldwide. And that's kind of an impressive feat if you take into account that in the Eastern market, they have done fuck all and basically don't exist. But they have done better than, they've actually outpaced and outsold the Xbox 360 within the same exact time span, and have done considerably well compared to the original Xbox. So that means that generation after generation, they have done better consistently. That's honestly kind of hard to do, though you know, if you look at somebody like Sony, they pretty much did the same thing, except for it took the PS3 way fucking longer to go and catch up, and nothing will ever top the PS2. I think that thing's just, like, it's basically like one of the Colossi. You just can't fucking touch that shit. You can climb up there and try as you might, it just glitches up and you can't fucking damage it, and then you get your bitch ass thrown the fuck off. But $500 for this machine. Now, there was all sorts of internet rumblings talking about who the fuck is this that they're trying to target? Who is the targeted demographic for the Xbox One X? I mean, if somebody had to come up to me and ask me, you know, why should I get an Xbox One X? I mean, the entire E3 showing, there wasn't a single solitary game that showcased any of the performance that this system could potentially do and sold you on all those beefed up specs, the increased power of the GPU, the CPU, and the RAM. We weren't really seeing that. They announced that it has liquid cooling, which is pretty fucking impressive. The fact that the form factor is even smaller than the Xbox One S. All of that's impressive, but it's all about the games. At the end of the day, that's what you care about. That's the experience, that's why you go and buy the machine. So, where was a game to go and showcase that in such a way that we were just like, fuck yeah, now it makes sense? There really weren't any. I mean, the nicest looking game that I had seen the entire time was Anthem. And admittedly, that shit was out of control, awesome as fuck looking. But it did look like some shit that isn't capable of being done on the PlayStation 4, or on the PlayStation 4 Pro, or on PC. I mean, that's just how it is. So, we got shown a fuck ton of games. An absolute insane myriad of games. And I was all for that. As a matter of fact, a lot of them I was all into. The only thing that I thought was amusing is the amount of times that they had talked about any sort of exclusivity, yet it was all timed. So eventually that's just going to be showing up on PlayStation 4, and that's going to be showing up on PC, and that's going to be showing up on the Switch. So you don't really have all that many exclusives out the gate, and you didn't have anything that was pushing the hardware of this system that you're trying to tout is one of the most technically impressive systems out there. And for a developer, I'm sure that's amazing because, well, you know, it's just an ever-expansive field for them to go and run around and play in. But right, you need something to go and really sell us on that. And you figure $500, we're talking about a $200 increase over the Xbox One S. And keep in mind, they did announce that there was going to be a price reduction of $50. And figure that out wherever the fuck you're at if it's in a different country, but still. $50 price reduction for the Xbox One S, which that is a good thing. But $200 more for this. Unless you have a 4K television that's HDR compatible, it's kind of hard to justify the price of the Xbox One X. That's all there is to it. Like, if I was still working in a game store, I've actually managed to over my entire lifetime, but if somebody came in right now and they came up to me and they said, okay, I want to go and get an Xbox, but I don't know if I want an S or an X. The first thing I'd say is, do the specs matter to you? Next thing is, do you have a 4K television? If you don't give a fuck about the specs and you don't have a 4K television, then don't bother with that shit. Save your money, because it's the same exact library across the entire Xbox family spectrum. That was something that they needed to guarantee themselves so that they didn't just suddenly push all the fans away. And I was all for that. You know, the PlayStation 4 Pro came out quite a while back. And most people kind of rolled their eyes at it because, you know, if you look at the stats for it, it's not that much of an upgrade over the regular PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's hard to go and justify the price point. While if you have a 4K television, certain games look nicer, but not a lot of games are supporting it because you figure you've got things that are in native 4K. Not a lot, but you've got some. But the majority of them are upscaled. Now the Xbox One X is capable of doing most things native and in 60 frames per second. So that's where, if you end up looking at the benchmark comparatively between the two, the Xbox One X is going to win out by a considerable margin, but it's up to the developers themselves to go and do this. And for all the pre-existing software out there right now, they would have to go and patch, and they already announced some games that are going to get patched for the Xbox One X to go and take advantage of all the extra horsepower and shit so that you're getting the most out of it. But is it going to be enough to warrant the price increase? because it's still a lot of money. $500 for a console sounds ludicrous and insane to most people. Though if you ever go back in time and you get to see how much a 3DO cost when it initially came out, or one of the Neo Geo systems, that shit was a lot of fucking money. And you've also got a good portion of people that will sit there and think to themselves, okay, if I want a true 4K gaming experience, and I'm already shelling out $500, why don't I just consider building a gaming PC? Now, there is going to be an obvious difference in, you know, that kind of ideology, because it's like, okay, well, what software do you want to play? Because that's going to play an important factor into it, and then, you know, the PC's always going to win out when it comes to the operating system, because, well, one is Windows and allows you to do whatever the fuck you want, the other one is just Xbox. And that's really about it. Always end up going with the better operating system of the two. But still, it just depends on the individual preference, and that's who it's going to define as who it's for. Is what do you have, what do you want to do with it, and that's really about it. And I had seen fanboy wars out the ass. I'm talking fanboy cards out in full effect, whipping out their dick with whatever fucking tattooed logo on that shit. And they're like, huh, yeah, well, my company's better than yours. No, my company's better than yours. And then it's just meat match. And I'm just sitting there like, I just want to play games. Could everybody just shut the fuck up? Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Let's play games. For fuck's sake, why does everybody have to take their preference and allow it to go and dictate a bias? Stop that. Be a good gamer. Do not allow your preference to turn into a bias, because that's how it turns into a mess. That's all. It's very simple logic. I mean, I consider it common sense, but that shit's not so common. So we gotta reword all that shit because it's uncommon or rare or mythic rare, whatever the fuck we're gonna go and call it, in like fucking reverse hollow foil rare sense there. But the Xbox One X will be coming at $500. The PlayStation 4 Pro is already out, and we're pushing headlong into 4K gaming. The thing is, right now, as we speak, there still isn't a lot of 4K televisions in homes. Like, right now. You know, that's going to change over time as more people end up adopting it and more content becomes available. Because if you have any streaming services such as Netflix or Hulu, or if you even go on YouTube, there is 4K content, but not shit tons of it. Personally, I want actual 4K Blu-rays just so I can watch this shit natively, because when you're streaming it, trust me when I say this, that's not true 4K. It's not. And when it comes to games, I mean, I played games in 4K on my gaming PC, because, I mean, I built that fucking beast to be able to handle everything and anything, no matter what editing task I was throwing at it, or whatever gaming task I was throwing at it. You know, my entire Steam library, I could put everything on fucking super duper ultra. God damn, that's a whole lot of add-on settings, and that shit would be able to handle it, and then some. But when it comes to console gaming, a lot of this shit is still relatively fresh and still relatively new for most folks out there, so they're not adjusted and used to anything like this. But a lot of this ends up reminding me of when we were shifting last generation from everything that was just like 480p, just a regular video signal, into high definition where things were 720p and 1080p. You know, I still had a tube television when I got my Xbox 360, and every time I tried to play Dead Rising, and Otis or whoever the fuck was hitting you up, Frank's trying to run around and just kill some zombies. I'm trying to go and do a Stone Cold Stunner and a powerbomb to a fucking zombie, and you keep on texting me like an angry ex-girlfriend who just wants to get hit up for some night dick, and I don't know what the fuck you're saying. This shit looks like fuzzy hieroglyphics at the bottom of the screen, and you want to keep on bothering me. Motherfucker, I have maniacs and fucking psychos running around all over the place, people with fucking machetes and machine guns, and one motherfucker looks like Dr. Roxo, and you're sending me hieroglyphics? Shut your ass. I'm busy. Just shut the fuck up. The fuck up. The fuck up. The fuck up. New Day Rocks. But for real, that entire shift, most people did not want to adopt into that. They were like, LCD? No, I'm already. Plasma? No, that's okay. I don't need any of that shit. Then eventually, that's just where the industry went, and more content became available, the price for everything went down, everybody went and they jumped on board with that. Same thing happened with VHS to DVD, then DVD to Blu-ray, and now everything's just streamed in digital. So, we're seeing that yet again. It's just most people are extremely against any sort of change, and they're reluctant as fuck. They're like, nope, that's alright. That costs more money, and that can go and fuck right off. I have bills to pay, mouth to feed, I have fucking all sorts of shit that I gotta do with my cash, except for give it to you. Fuck you. And I can't really blame them. Like, you know, all motherfuckers are in that boat, but you're paying for what you get. You want the best possible experience. If they're going to be following through with it, that's what you gotta do, is you gotta go and pay through the fucking nose for that kind of shit. So, they showed it off, and it's a mixed reaction from everybody, but it was initially when they had announced it quite a while back, because there's people saying, well, that's like the next generation, except for it's not. The truth is that I think that this is the last console generation. From here on out, you're going to see it emulating and adopting everything that you've seen in PC gaming and mobile gaming. Those motherfuckers are releasing updated hardware every couple of months and or years. And new iterations of said flagship version of like the iPhone or the Galaxy series and shit. I think that Sony and Microsoft are both going to adopt that, and that's where we're going to go from here on out. Which is good from a consumer standpoint, because that means that a lot of people won't get left out in the dust, so you're not going to be building up a library for, what, like 5 to 10 years? Now all of a sudden, that shit is completely and utterly pointless, off to the fucking garbage can for you, or just to be sold at fucking flea markets for dirt-ass cheap until much later on when everybody's nostalgic and wants it back. But they'd be able to still keep playing those games. All the shit that you have locked into your account online would still be there, assuming that they keep sticking with this same exact architecture and just moving forward with upgrades here and there. While it's going to annoy some people because they like the idea of PlayStation 5, PlayStation 6, Xbox 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the fuck, extra X's like BMXXX. But now you're going to have like Xbox One X, XX, 2, 5, whatever the fuck they're gonna go for. It just sounds like some kind of shitty ass code that you have to input. Still, that's what I see as the future for gaming, is that. Most won't want it. God, getting fucking tongue-tied. Most won't want something like that, but I mean, it's worked for so many different parts of the industry that we take for granted. And early on, when the shit was like that, people were fucking pissed off. When a new car would come out every single year, people were pissed off about that shit. And then eventually, motherfuckers just got used to it. You know, you go and buy a car in 2017 while the 2018 model comes out, and it's a little bit nicer. And the one after that is a little bit nicer. Then they completely redo the one after that. Then yours feels old and shitty, and you look at it, and you're all like, mumbling a whole bunch of fucking death threats under your breath and shit. But that's where I see all this stuff going. When it comes to the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S, again, it just depends on what the fuck you need and what the fuck you want. $500, it's a lot of money to plop down for any kind of machine, but if you've got all the shit to go for it and that's the kind of experience that you want, awesome. If it's not, don't buy it. Remember, these are options. I've defended Nintendo with the 2DS and a 3DS and a 3DS XL and all that shit, and Sony with the PlayStation 4 Pro, and last generation with a bunch of similar shit. This is just more options. So long as they aren't undermining the initial experience for early adopters, which they aren't in a case like this, then I don't see any kind of problem whatsoever. But the minute that ends up becoming such an uneven playing field that people aren't enjoying themselves anymore, that's when you're going to end up having to take issue, and that's when you should be angry. But don't be angry that there is another option. Like, don't. It doesn't make any fucking sense. That's my thoughts on it. That's my feelings on all this shit. Whole lot to go and get off my chest, but overall, I was pretty fucking happy to see them go and announce this shit. But opinions, thoughts, feelings, I know you motherfuckers got plenty to say. There's a comment box, or just go the fuck off, thumb it up, thumb it down, I don't give a fuck, doesn't matter, said what I had to say. This is AlphaOmegaSin, as always, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers game the fuck on!